Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to elevate your financial acumen as we take control of your business and financial future. This is going to be a fun episode, so let's get this one going. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life. Prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Bros.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we have the privilege of chatting with a seasoned entrepreneur, CPA, and financial storyteller. She's on a mission to empower business owners to achieve financial health and independence. In this episode, she's going to share her incredible journey from fascination with numbers to becoming a successful entrepreneur and financial consultant. So get ready for an enlightening insight into the world of business, finance, and profitability. And let's welcome to the show, Miss Tina White. All right, Tina, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you so much for this opportunity. I love the intro.
Of course, it's time to have some fun. Let's start schooling some people, learning some things here. Before we get started, I always like to start off every episode with the same question. Everybody who comes on the show is here to advertise something, to promote something, to talk about their business ventures. Because at the end of the day, if you're not marketing, you're not growing your business. So what is that for you?
For me, I am on a mission to help business owners transition not only from the technical side. When they started their business, they're really good at providing the customer service and taking care of that customer and all of their needs, but they need a little bit of help kind of removing the mystery on the financial side of the business. So I am a financial consultant and trainer where I help business owners take control of their finances without learning accounting and without complicated math, because that's really that secret competitive advantage that every business owner needs.
Well, you definitely got to know your numbers. And I know firsthand you're literally in a math class right now. So I've been teaching math for over 10 years. And I can tell you every time students walk in a math class, they freak out. Most of them are scared because they don't know the numbers, right? And they don't want to learn that stuff. But when it comes to business, it's definitely something you need to know. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know where your business is at. Vitally important. What kind of companies are you after? Small startups, mid-cap, large companies? Who do you work with?
I love serving service companies where the business owner has been a business for about 2 years and they've grown the business to the point where they've seen that sales, more sales is not working. They're tired of being tired. They've got a small team of people, usually at least one person dedicated to the financial side, but there's a disconnect between the business owner getting the useful information that they need and then also being able to understand that information so they can make decisions, what's working, what's not working. So it's usually at least 5 employees and they're ready to take the business to the next level and they're tired of being tired, working so hard.
Oh, got to put on that accounting hat sometimes. You and I have that in common. My degree is in accounting. I decided not to go the CPA route. You kind of did. Tell me about your education background. Tell me a little bit about yourself, your qualifications.
So I started out my career following the traditional CPA route where I worked for a public accounting firm providing tax and audit services. And in 2010, I really just wanted to start my own business where I help business owners use all that financial information to kind of predict the future. Because the tax and audit side, I was always looking at really old numbers, sometimes even a year old. And it's like, well, that's no fun. So when I started my business in 2010, I offered CFO type of services where we actually use the historical information to take a better look at the overall financial picture. And I did take a little bit of a detour in 2015 when I bought an air conditioning company. I owned and operated that company for 5.5 years. And it was really cool for me to see how the business side, all of the business skills really helped that business go to the next level. Even though I do not know how to repair an air conditioning system, I knew the business side. I surrounded myself around with people that were really good at the technical side, and we provided a great team for each other. And I actually sold that business in 2021 to a private equity firm. And so now I'm going back to the financial roots where I'm helping business owners remove the mystery of the financial side of their business, because I believe it's a big key portion to helping companies grow in a financially strong way.
What was that like for you, kind of leaving an established firm? You have that secure job. You know what tomorrow is going to look like. I mean, as an accountant, with a financial background, the consistent cash flow is important, especially when you're trying to grow a venture. Having that consistency is vital. Everybody looks at P&Ls and balance sheets, but sometimes that statement of cash flows can tell you a lot more about a business than other things. So you leave that established firm, you drop that consistent cash flow, you go into an AC company that you don't know anything about AC repair, but you go in with that business acumen, and then you decide, okay, I'm going to continue this venture, I'm going to go on my own. Walk me through your mindset. Why become an entrepreneur when you already have the consistency in place?
It's kind of one of those situations where you feel so drawn to it, like there's no other option. Like the stability of that paycheck no longer is a high priority when you're thinking about your future. Yes, it's good, but the thought of not at least trying your hat at starting your own business, that pull just really feels very strong. Also, when I started the first company in 2010, I made sure I had 6 months of savings. So that way, if I did not earn one penny for 6 months, it was okay. I did not feel like I had to say yes to every opportunity. It gave me the opportunity to build the business the way I wanted to. And so because I believe the cash flow statement is the most important financial statement, because without cash, your business will not survive another day. And so that's how I kind of solved that problem starting out. I provided myself with 6 months of runway so that way I could give myself time. When I bought the existing air conditioning company, we actually used seller financing and some savings to help get that business going. Of course, the business had about 13 employees, so there was already an existing structure where I kind of just jumped in on the roller coaster and started riding with them. And we did have to, fix things, upgrade technology, improve hiring processes, all of those types of things. And so this current version of my business, I'm using some of the sales cash from that sale to help kind of fund and get the consulting and the training moving forward. So each one had their pros and cons depending on the kind of stage of life that I was in.
I'm curious because we're living in a very heavy startup age, right? There's a lot of people who are starting companies, growing companies, and they need your skill set. Like, to be honest, they might be good technical workers, but not necessarily good at business or understanding their numbers in a sense. I mean, and that's testament to what you did with the AC company. You didn't know how to do anything technically when it comes to an AC unit, but you understood the numbers and how a business operates. And I'm kind of wondering, did you get any pushback from the company culture because you're not a technician? You have zero clue on how to do that stuff. And then here you come in and try to make changes. What was that like as an entrepreneur, buying an existing company and then going in and saying, we're going in a new direction and you all are coming with me?
Countless times I heard you're going to break the business. But it was one of those things where there were some things like we were using yellow page advertising. I mean, that was a no-brainer that it needed to be upgraded. But then there were other things that pushed against the traditional industry standards that everybody had accepted as best practices. And that, coming in from a different industry where I had seen best practices across 45 other industries, I was able to infuse some of that and say, okay, well, let's try it. So I framed it as we're going to experiment. We're going to just experiment with this new idea. We'll see what works, what doesn't work, and we'll pivot. Because one of my biggest frustrations was being told that it would not work. But then when I asked, okay, well, when you tried it, what do you feel like didn't work? And then they would say, oh, well, we've never tried it. And I was like, well, then how do you know it doesn't work? Like that whole philosophy, just because it worked for the industry as a whole and everyone's copying everyone else and doing the same as last year, none of that philosophy made sense to me. And so I did really good to only pick like one or two major things. I explained why we were making the change. I asked for them to trust me as we were experimenting with the new idea. And most of the ideas worked out. But yeah, you're right. Being an outsider had pros and cons. And overall, it was good because as we hired new employees, we built a culture to where we were willing to figure it out and experiment and not just trust that just because it worked yesterday, it's guaranteed to work tomorrow.
Yeah, it's a big change when you go into a company from the outside coming in, but you also brought in a lot of experience. Like you said, you've seen industries across multiple sectors doing certain things in their businesses, and that experience goes a long way when you come in from the outside. Your team's just got to trust you and actually implement the strategies that go into play there. With that experience, what advice would you give to somebody who's either starting out in business or even considering buying an existing one? Because especially in the trades industry, there are so many owners that are aging out at this point. And there's opportunities for people to come in and buy up these companies or just start their own. Either way, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's in that position getting started?
Definitely take a step back and make sure that you understand. You never know what you're really getting into until you're in there. But really spend a little bit of time to take the blinders off, because like if you are a technician and you think that your world is only going to be the exact same thing where you take the call, you deliver the service, you collect the money, and then you're done. No. You need to set the prices, come up with the strategy, go through the entire customer journey, generate the leads, close the sale, understand how discounting the price actually affects profitability and cash, how you're going to invoice, collect the money, how are you going to track all of that to see what's working, what's not working, the legal side of it, the contracts, the human resource side. Do you hire a subcontractor or an employee? There's so much more to it. And even though you don't need to try to have perfection about it, you do need to have your eyes wide open to it's going to be a whole lot more work than a 40-hour work week. And you need to charge enough so that way you can hire great people. There are only 3 ways that your business generates money. It's loans from the bank, investments from the owner, your own personal savings, or your business partners. And then the third one is sales from your customers based on the price you charge. The first 2 are not sustainable long-term because eventually the bank's going to say, I don't want to loan you money anymore. I don't believe in the idea. And eventually your personal savings or your business partners are going to lose trust in the idea. So there's really only one way to generate money for your business. And that's why charging the right price is so important. When you charge the right price, you can hire great people. So that way you're not the one having to deal with the details of bookkeeping and generating leads. You can hire great people to help support the areas of the business that you're not strong in. So really understanding the big picture of what you're getting into, and then making sure you're charging the right price. Don't copy just what everyone else is doing and charge 10% less. That's the worst thing you can do. Understand what goes into that pricing. You'll be able to hire the right people, and you are going to set your business up for a lot easier growth pattern.
Man, we watched a lot of Shark Tank in our class, and one of those questions that always get asked is, what have you sold? Right? And that comes back to that revenue question that you're asking here, right? I don't want to know about how many rounds of investments you've gone through, unless I'm talking about the equity that I'm going to be taking. But on the flip side, The only reason why I care about your business is because you actually generate sales, because you're making money. And I think there's a lot of mistakes that are made for entrepreneurs early on that, and it's all in the thought of growing your business, the thought about scaling your business. But the number one mistake I see over and over again is not having the sales to do anything that you think about doing going forward. What's been your experience when it comes to mistakes, either mistakes you've seen companies make consistently, or even mistakes maybe that you made where you learned a valuable lesson from?
Definitely the first one that comes to mind is believing if I just sell more, the business is going to magically get better. Either as the owner, pay me more money or give me more time off. But usually that's not the case. You have to be a little bit more intentional to better understand why your current sales are not generating the profit and the cash flow and the time off that you dreamed about. Because let's face it, if you are generating zero profit off the sales you have, 0 times anything is still 0. It's just basic math. And so really understanding what's working and what's not working can be a big factor in that. One of the biggest mistakes that I learned from was, making sure that you hire the right people. When we first bought the business, there was some turnover and we hired people without spending a lot of time really investing to learn about their, quality controls, technical skills, all of that. And so we actually ended up slowing our hiring process down severely, where we actually offered a job audition where they said that they had a certain skill set. Then we paid them 4 to 6 hours for their time so they could demonstrate the skill that they had. And so that way we were really seeing, like, how do they fit in with our culture? Do they show up presentable for our customers? Do they demonstrate the technical skills that they need? So slowing it down with, multiple interviews, because people can be really great during the first 30 minutes. But by the time you get to that job audition or the third interview, they start to think that they've got it in the bag and they start to let their guard down and you start to see their true colors. And it's much more cost effective to do that before you hire them instead of figuring it out 6 weeks later. So that was one of our big adjustments, was really making sure that we hired the right people. We slowed that process down the front end.
Yeah, those employees, you absolutely need them. They're what's going to give you that time freedom that you're looking for in business anyways. But if you're not hiring correctly, I think people assume that the lost cost is only in the payroll, but you forget about the time that goes into these people, the effort, the company's overall growth during that period, or the contraction. If you end up hiring somebody that's cancerous within your organization, hiring the right people can really dictate the path that your company goes on. As a consultant, now that you've been doing this for a while, now that you're growing your company, what do you feel that your company does best? Why is it that they go to Tina to get the help that they're looking for? Because let's face it, at the end of the day, there's fractional CFOs all over the place that you can go to different places, but they come to you for a specific reason. What do you think that is?
Accountants are from Mars and entrepreneurs are from Pluto. I've been to both planets. I speak the language of both. And so that's one of the really unique things about me is I am not trying to force business owners to understand how to read GAAP financial statements or how to best understand how the tax returns work. I am very unique in that I help the business owner identify where are you at right now financially, what's working, what's not working. Let's identify the top 3 problems. I work with the business owner to prioritize. How do we see which one has the biggest domino effect? And I work alongside them kind of like a financial tour guide. Let's work through this together. Call me if you run into a problem. So that way we're really getting some of those quick wins that the business owner needs. Instead of starting off with, from scratch with your chart of accounts and, 50 hours of training, let's really identify where we can get that quick win. And then we can layer on the training, not only at the high level for the business owner, but we can also, I work with the bookkeeper or the accounting staff as well to provide the detailed training that they might need to level up to provide useful information so the business owner and the leaders can make great decisions.
Yeah, that's key, not only in the training, but just in the general understanding. You don't need to know everything about your 1120. You don't need to know everything about gap principles, but you definitely need to have somebody on your team who can read that information and then express it in a way that the team kind of understands. This is where we are, this is where we're going, and this is what the plan is to get there. And at the end of the day, it's kind of putting those pieces together for sure. Every entrepreneur feels like when they get really good at something, there's something else that they need to improve upon, something that they maybe are struggling with or trying to make more efficient, so that they have a better customer experience, or maybe even internally so that their staff is doing things a little bit more efficiently. What do you feel that is for you?
For me, I do believe in the real time learning. And so for me, like right now, just like, how do I market the business and get the message out? I feel like I'm kind of like the best kept secret. And it's like, I can help so many business owners, but how do I, not that I want to learn how to learn the keywords with SEO and, all of those types of things, but what is the big picture that I, as a business owner, need to make sure I understand that will help me push the business forward? And it's just that real time learning. And then I'm always learning about culture and leadership. I just love studying those topics. Those are my favorite kind of go-to topics.
Yeah, the culture thing, right? I feel like it's changing. You mentioned the yellow pages, and I don't think very many of my live audience know what the yellow pages even are today, because those are quite a long time ago. But I remember my very first business, we would definitely go into the yellow pages, and I remember it was a computer repair company, and I remember one of my technicians coming in and saying, "Hey, we should do this thing called Google Ads." And I looked at him and I was like, "What do you mean? We're a computer repair company. If people's computer breaks, why are they going to be on the internet?" Went right over my head. Should have thought about that back then. But instead, I was like, no, we're going to double down. We're going in the yellow pages, the Verizon yellow pages, the yellow book. Completely different time. But yeah, the marketing thing is absolutely important. You need to be able to get out in front of people and tell them what it is that you do. Where do you see the vision of your company, of your consulting firm? I mean, you're the best kept secret. And like, how are you going to break through that? Where do you see yourself in the next couple of years?
I envision having like a business owner financial boot camp where business owners can just come take a break from their business and really take their financial information with their maybe their bookkeeper, and we just really immerse themselves into the business financial side, so that way they really leave with a financial strategy that supports the overall vision of their company. So I love the idea of having workshops where we roll up our sleeves and really get into the weeds, and also big picture. There's a balance: bookkeeper the weeds and the business owner the big picture. And so just really helping. I like teaching business owners and their bookkeepers how to fish. I don't want to come in and insert myself into your business where I'm helping with deadlines and reports and the compliance side of things. I want to teach them how to fish, so that way we probably will have a long-term relationship, but we're going to be working on new opportunities, buying a competitor, or how do we add a new revenue stream? So that way we're looking at more of like projects instead of that compliance type of thing. So I love the idea of providing workshops, but then also having a core number of business owners where I'm just their financial guide and just really help them level up their business and work alongside them.
The financial whisperer, right? Just
Yes.
whispering right there. This is the direction you need to go in. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, Tina, if people want to reach out to you, they want to find out more, they want to get whispered in the air some of those financial things to kind of clear the air and put them in the path where they can see success and have a clear path to it. What can they do? How can they reach out to you?
They can find me on my website, panoramicacademy.com. They can email me at tina@panoramicacademy.com. Feel free to send me a question. I'm happy to point you in the right direction. And then, of course, I'm on YouTube. I'm building up those videos as well, so that way you can, learn a little bit, hopefully point you in the right direction. But as always, reach out. I'm so happy to answer questions. I don't want you to struggle with your finances.
Awesome. All right. Well, Tina, thank you very much for coming on the show today. My last question is kind of a selfish one. I'm sure you're going to be going on a lot of different podcasts. I don't know how many you've already done, but our goal is to give you a good time, kind of tell your story, and then break it up into small clips that we can use for social media. What was your experience like creating content with the Business Bros?
Oh, I enjoyed it. You're a great interviewer. I loved how it was more of a conversation.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to come on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, your numbers are everything. You're in business. If you don't know your numbers, you're not going to be in business very long, especially if you have ambitions of growing or selling or exiting at some point. You need to understand how these things play out. And people like Tina are here to help whisper in your ear and show you and guide you in a direction so that you can do those things. If you have an idea of exiting, or you want to sell the company at some point, or you just wanted to establish it so you have a lifestyle that you want, you need people like Tina on your team. So make sure you check out our website, panoramicacademy.com, or follow her on social at Tina P. White, or shoot her an email. She's down to even answer questions, and that's what it comes down to. I know you got a tons of questions. Tina at panoramicacademy.com, Tina at panoramicacademy.com. Tina, thank you very much for being on the program today. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace, and we're out.
It's over. Go home. Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast, but not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz to get started.